Hey there, English 110 students. This video is going to briefly look at Module 6. The good news is this is our second to last module, so if you can hang on for this module, make it through to Module 7, you are done English 110. For me, this went by really fast. I don't know about for you though. But in any case, let's go ahead and look at what's happening in Module 6. So of course we have the important dates. As always, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Make sure that the dates you look at are the ones on your module, not this video, because they might differ. But do note that you have some things due this week, but we are sort of headed back to a more normal module scenario. Last week things were a little heavier with the peer review and such, so things should slow down a little bit this week. Luckily we can take a breather. That's nice. Module 6 objectives you can read at your own time, but I bet you it has something to do with reading literature. And then your Module 6 to-do list. You can read through this, but again, this is a little more in line with our traditional modules prior to Module 5. Your Module 6 reading, so we are reading Hamlet this time, and it's a little bit longer. Some of you, if you've chosen to write about Hamlet in your essay, you may have already begun to read it. If not, please make sure that you start right away because the number of pages is kind of heavy, but for me personally, I do think that reading drama goes a little more quickly than reading novels, but that's just me. But do make sure you pace yourself accordingly. And then I just have a little information here called Beyond the Text for you to read, just a little more about verse versus prose in drama, especially when we're talking about Shakespeare. So you can read through this. Your discussion board. By now, you definitely know how to do these. And then last but not least, really the heart of this video is the writing process reflection. So we'll talk about this together. One of the most important steps to producing a quality piece of writing is understanding the process. Now that you have drafted your essay, it is time to consider what the process was. This is beneficial because it affords the writer the opportunity to see what parts of the process are smooth and helpful and what parts might have holes or need attention. I'd like to pause there. A little bit of feedback that I've received in the past is that students wish that the writing process assignment was assigned before the essay was written, but there is a method to my madness, I promise. Yes, I might be a little mad, but there is a reason for all of this. And the reason why I have the writing process reflection after you've worked on the draft is because it's hard to know what the process is if we haven't really done it. I know for many of you, it's been a while since you've been in an English class. It's been a while since someone has asked you to write an essay. And so you might have a general sense of what your writing process is, but that's more like conjecture or speculation about your process, not reflection upon what actually happened when you started working on your essay. So that's why this is coming after you've done your peer review and draft assignment, because the reflection part of writing is just as important as any other step along the way. So with that in mind, for this assignment, we will examine your current writing process. This video might give you an idea of what occurs within the writing process. And by this video, I mean this cool YouTube video here. I wish I could tell you I made this video, but I am not nearly that artistic, talented, or creative. So I'm using someone else's really amazing work. I also encourage you to answer the questions provided in the video. You'll see that it asks you to pause and answer some questions about process. They are really helpful and will give you a head start in this assignment and your paper. So the questions. After watching the video, please answer the following questions. What is your current writing process? List out each step with a brief explanation of what you do in that phase. It's fine if you repeat a few steps. Also keep in mind that I'm not expecting a particular process. That's really important. I do not expect your process to look like anybody else's. I want your writing process to look like yours. So with that said, be honest about what the steps were. I'm not judging them at all, I promise you. What do you do when you are assigned a piece of writing? Number 2, what assumptions do you have about your own writing? In other words, what do you believe are your strengths? What areas do you think you have room for refinement? And I like to say refinement rather than improvement because really we're all great writers, but every writer, no matter how advanced, has room for refinement. So this isn't your time to think about like, oh, I'm really bad at these are the things I don't know about writing. Instead, it's, hey, I know everything I need to know about writing at this time. How can I improve upon that? Number 3, what assumptions do you have about your selected topic? Are those assumptions accurate? In what ways can you ensure your assumptions are supported in your writing? Number 4, what distracts you from writing? How can you alleviate this as you write your essay? I will tell you my number 1 distraction is Instagram. And my dog. I have a French bulldog named Hank. He's a major distraction from everything in my life because he's so cute. But anyway, number 5, what environment supports your best work? How can you create that environment as you write your essay? And this question maybe is the most important question, maybe tied with number 1, knowing what your process is. But when we know what our process is, it's really helpful to know how can we act out that process most optimally. So if you know that if you're sitting around with the TV on and your kid's screaming, you can't write a good essay, imagine then what environment could you do your best work in? And are you able to create that for yourself? Maybe, maybe not. Our lives are very different. But maybe you can carve out 5 minutes of quiet time to support your best work or something like that. So just consider just small ways that you can create the environment for you to be the best writer you could possibly be. For me, I'd have to lock my little doggy away and put my Instagram away because I just can't concentrate otherwise. Expectations. All questions must be answered in at least 150 words per question, with the exception of question 1, which can be in list form, and it is as short or as long as your process truly is. All answers must be thoughtful and formally articulated, and you should be familiar with the below rubric. So again, please answer these questions in a minimum of 150 words with the exception of question 1, and you'll use the content editor to type your answers in. Again, this is one last time to familiarize yourself with that editing function before you have to use it for your final paper. And I know a number of you emailed me and said you're really happy we did that the first time because you realized you weren't doing it right. So I'm not trying to be picky here. And I mean, if you make a mistake with it this time, it's not going to be like the end of the world. But again, my madness has a method. I just want you to have practice with this before it really, really matters. So the grading and rubric, 50 points, pass, fail. You do the work, you do it well, you answer the questions, you meet the expectations, bada bing, bada boom, you pass. If you don't meet the expectations, you do not pass. All questions must be addressed. Answers to the questions must be at least 150 words with the exception of question 1. Each answer has at least one supporting quote, or maybe not so much a quote. Well, let me rephrase that. If you have a quote that you can use from your essay, sure, you can use that. But maybe your answers don't necessarily come from your essay. Can you give me a little evidence from your life or from your experiences that support your answer to that question? So maybe for question 4, you could say, the question is, what distracts you from writing? Rather than saying noise, you could say noisy environments. For example, when my TV is blaring and my dogs are barking and the phone is ringing, I can't concentrate on my writing, and that's something I experienced when I was working on my draft. So just give me some real evidence, some real context to the answers for your questions. And last but not least, all answers are to be thoughtful and formally articulated. So that is that for Module 6, a short video, a shorter module. Whew, thank goodness. Next week, we will have a little more work to do in terms of wrapping up our final discussion boards, that's plural, idea evaluations, and submitting your final essay. So enjoy this break. In the meantime, when you have a little bit of free time, because we have a little less happening, please make sure you are still revising and working on your essays. This is not the week to stop revisions. This is the week to really keep going. Make the most of this. If you have questions, you know how to find me. I am looking forward to reading your work. Have a great day, guys. Bye.